Dana Abercrombie from the AAFCA has a question about Mary, and she asks, "Can you talk about the complexities of a woman grieving over the loss of her son while deciding to care for these students?"
Sure. So the care for the students is her job. However, I find that what is so beautiful about it is that it is a great distraction. It opens her heart up from not being so hardened. It allows her to um, go through this process of grieving. In a way, I think it saves her that she has work to do in the midst of all of this. Angus, without a word being said, ends up healing and filling this gap within her as she is suffering the loss of her child in a really beautiful way. In regards to the grief, I when I was in graduate school, I unfortunately in that 3 year span suffered a lot of loss. But due to me going to uh, school, I was at Yale School of Drama. Due to me going there, my parents didn't want me to become distracted. And so they told me to stay at school, to not come, don't worry about the funeral. The family understands and supports what you're doing. And so I didn't go. And I didn't know that I thought I had grieved them. And I
Mm.
didn't know that I didn't fully. And when we started doing this show, some of those things started to come up for me. And what I understood that was really interesting was that grief, though there is that convenient chart of like the stages of grief, it's so much more complex than that. However, I use that as a template, if you will, to kind of chart where she was at, scene to scene, moment to moment. And what I found that's interesting is that with grief, you can go through they can come in any array of arrangements. You could go through denial and depression at the same time. You can go through acceptance and anger at the same time. It's not so cookie cutter convenient. It really can happen a lot of different ways and out of order. And so I just allowed myself to go on this like emotional roller coaster of feeling and I did that because I wanted, when I realized that this movie was potentially going to be a movie for people who aren't necessarily feeling in the holiday spirit that so many of a dramatic amount of movies are about, right? This one is unique in that it shows this other view, which is also a very real view. And so I quickly wanted to have something in this character of Mary, not only being this strong feminine presence and one of the few female presence, I wanted it to be something that people could really attach to and relate to. And so I wanted to show as many, if not all, of the stages of grief so that whoever was watching it and whatever they were going through in that time, they could relate to it, right? So if someone is in their current stage of denial, great, we got you covered. Because it was important to me that if I was going to do this, I understood quickly that this role was about um, me as the actor having the courage to share my heart with the audience and to use myself basically as a vessel and have the courage to just to be willing to go there and show those different sides. It wasn't easy, but I definitely can say it was worth it in regards to how, and it's beyond someone saying you did a great job of the movie. It means more to me when people are connecting on a deep level, or it's somehow bringing a family or, people together, or allowing people to go through. It can have, people have said to me too, of like, oh, I realized I didn't process, my own loss in X, Y, and Z. And I know what that's like now. So
Mm.
yeah, that was kind of how I went about it. And two of like, right, you gotta find that right tone because it can't be if I would have laid into it heavy, I think you guys would have, as the viewer, would have disassociated or like too much. And I think if I wouldn't have done it enough, you would have been like, does she really care? Does it really matter? You know what I mean? And so there's kind of this, I was constantly with Alexander's help having to like tune and turn the dial to find the right sweet spot, scene to scene, moment by moment of, you know, what is appropriate in this moment and finding the right point where you as a viewer could engage
Mm.
and respond and connect to.
Well, I suppose the word is empathy, really. I mean, there's this incredible well of empathy
Yeah.
in Mary and in your performance here.